Hey guys, Lady Lee here from Lady Lee's home. I want to give you a little bit of an update on the garden that is in the my backyard basically. I have 37 beds here, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that I garden in a few different areas, and this is one area. We got 37 beds here, and last week I posted a video on planting beets in this garden, and now we're going to thin them, so there's a little bit of maintenance that we need to do here. So the first crop that you saw was eggplants. They're still going really good. I got about 5 beds of them, and then the Matt's wild cherry tomatoes, which are my favorite. There's some information about them on the blog. They will keep producing until November, basically until the frost. Okay, so this bed is carrots. They all germinated pretty good. It's sometimes hard to germinate carrots, but I made sure to water 2-3 times a day, and they're doing pretty good. They already have their first set of true leaves, and now I find that it really is helpful to feed them a lot. I like using fish emulsion, so that's what I'll be feeding here. Then another crop that I have here, everything that you see on a trellis is sweet peas. So all the trellises are sweet peas. This bed of beets, I transplanted some beets into here, and we'll do this in a minute. You see the plants are not having a easy time. There's always transplanting shock, but they're still green. So they will perk back up and will be growing beautifully soon. They're not dead, they're not gray, they're not brown, so as long as they're still green, they are still good. This is the bed that we need to work on. You see that I did not have good germination here in this bed, so we'll call it bed number 1. That's the bed that we need to fix. And this one is the bed that really surprised me. I planted seeds here that are 3 years old. The variety is Boro, and they're from Johnny Selected Seeds, non-pelleted seeds, and they did amazing. I planted a whole lot because they're 3 years old seeds, and I did not expect so many to germinate, but they are germinated so well that it's pretty much looking like I'm growing sprouting greens or something in that bed. So that's what we need to do, to take some plants from that bed, we'll call it bed number 2, the one that over germinated, and move them to bed number 1, which didn't germinate well. These are turnips, and another trellis with sweet peas. Then I have a couple like 3 beds that I haven't planted anything in yet, and then we have the okra forest that is still producing beautifully, a whole lot of okra. These okra plants also really surprised me. I did not expect them to do so well. These are new beds that I just added this year, and the soil is horrible there, but they did so well, and they were such easy plants to grow. This is the first year that I'm growing okra, and I love this plant. It's really easy. Okay, so back to bed number 1. We're going to do some maintenance here on these beets. Now, a seed of beet is actually a cluster of seeds. So when you plant one seed of beet, 2 or 3 plants might germinate. And it is common for most beet varieties. There are some beet varieties that are just one plant in a seed, or one seed in a seed. But usually when it comes to beets, the seeds are a cluster. So what I'm doing here is just going and pulling some of the plants. We want to space beets at about 4 4 or 5 inches apart. And you might hear some people say that you can grow them in groups, like 2 3 plants, and they'll kind of push each other as they grow. I've never had success with that. Every time that I do that, they just stay really small, and they grow kind of in an awkward way, and I just don't like it. So I leave one plant, and I broadcast my seeds in the bed so I can feed a whole lot of beets. And they grow really big and really beautiful. They each have enough space, and I don't know, that's how it works for us. But you will hear some people that say that you can grow them in groups. Back to bed number 2. That's the bed that is over germinated. So what I need to do here is basically thin and space this bed. Now, I wouldn't be able to do this with carrots or peas or some other plants, but beets can be transplanted. You can actually start them indoors if you want, and then transfer them outside. But here I have so many plants that what I am going to do is basically take some plants from that bed that germinated like crazy, and then move them over to the bed where I'm missing some plants. Now, we want to make sure, in order to have success here, that we're choosing a day that is overcast. If there's harsh sun, this is not going to work. The little plants that we're digging out here are very, very sensitive, and it will take them a little while, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, until they actually start to get a hold of in the ground and send the roots and absorb, water and food and all of that. And they might look very sad for that 1 to 2 weeks. In order to help them, we have to make sure that we are choosing an overcast day and that it's cool and nice outside. The sun is the main problem here when doing this. So once I pulled some of the plants, and I'm putting this butter knife, you guys, butter knife is like the best garden tool ever. So a lot of things in the garden I just do with a butter knife. Anyways, when you get them out, you want to stick the knife in like 4 or 5 inches and try to get them out, loosen the soil, and try to get them out without damaging the roots. We want the roots to stay intact, and even if we can get them out with a little bit of soil, then that's great. Once they're out, then we want to transplant them immediately, and not in a tray or anything. They need to go back in the ground immediately. So I'm sticking the knife deep into the soil, and I want to try to get the root to be straight down, to not be bent or folded or have a reason to break in any way. So I want to make sure that I kind of stick it straight down into the ground, and I plant these little plants a little deeper than you might see the other plants that just germinated in place. And that's how it looks right now. I did plant them a little closer than 4 or 5 inches apart, because I know that some of them are not gonna make it. So I added a few extra over there, and then if all of them make it, then what I can do is just harvest, keep thinning them as they grow, but just harvest like baby beets, 1 inch, 2 inch in diameter, and then leave. As I do that and harvest the baby beets, the other beets that are left in the bed are going to have more room to grow into bigger beets. And now I'm back to bed number 1, because there's so many plants here that this need to be thinned too. If I leave that many plants, nothing is gonna grow. It's way too too close. Now, sometimes you'll hear that it's better to use scissors and not pull from the root. That works too. I never had a problem with beets. I'm just pulling them gently from the root, and the ones that are left seem to be just fine and do well. You'll see in a second how this bed is looking in comparison to how it is right now. I took a whole lot of plant out, and just to make sure we are not wasting anything here. These greens are delicious in salad, and they're gonna make a great salad for tonight. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again in the next one.